A city called San Diego has decided to start enforcing their new law, making it illegal to be homeless. Because that always fixes it. It always does. It always does. Um, so many of you know that because the United States is so horrific to people who are struggling, especially when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to sorry, just trying to figure out this, deciding whether I want to show you that dumb video anymore on loop, but I guess not. Um, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to public housing, when it comes to schooling, when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to any of those things, the U.S. is terrible to people. So you end up with a lot of people who are struggling, who are homeless. And of course, there's millions of others who are just rent insecure, meaning they may find themselves homeless soon. But when you end up with all these homeless, and I actually was going to cover this. I don't know where that. I'll have to find it again. But the number of homeless is actually far larger than we think it is. They say they say that it's 600,000, I believe, was the number before the pandemic. I think the pandemic increased that number, but then on top of that, that's not actually the real number. Most more accurate estimates say it's well over 1 million. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But not only is it incredibly hard to be homeless to begin with, but on top of that, and there should be no homelessness, and we have 17 million fucking empty homes across the entire United States. 17 million, 17 million. Repeat that number for yourself a few times if it helps. 17 million empty homes. That's not even counting living spaces, office spaces, Macy's. Everyone in this United States who doesn't have a home could live inside a bankrupt Macy's, okay? And a J.C. Penney's to boot. They could have their own. I feel like every homeless person could probably have their own Macy's right now. I feel like we're not far off from that. So they call it enforcement of San Diego's, you're going to love this, unsafe camping ordinance. That's just, you know what, folks? It's unsafe to be homeless. So are we going to give you a home? Are we going to help us? No. We're just, because it's unsafe for you to be out amongst us, we're just going to push you away and maybe arrest you. But yeah, it's unsafe for you to be near us who are not unhoused. I feel it's kind of like a trigger warning when I'm near you, just to be near you, because you don't have a roof over your head. So could you just, we'll pass a law saying it's illegal to be you. So it's illegal to be you now. That should help you, right, in your situation. You have no money, no people, no support system, no community, no clean water, no reliable food source, no roof over your head. I think what would help you, what we could do to help you, is make it illegal to be you. I think that'll probably fix it. Like, would that not? If you make something illegal, it goes away, right? We all know that. We all know that. Like, for example, just to give you one example, just top of my head, drugs, okay? You make them illegal, they're gone. They're gone. I mean, drugs have been gone since Nixon started the war on drugs. We all know that. Here's one example. Indo is originally from Sudan. She said she aged out of the foster care system. So she was from Sudan. She probably was either brought here by a parent or was able to get into the United States as a refugee. And so she's in the United States and is underage initially. So she's in the foster care system. She then ages out of the foster care system, clearly has little to no support system, and now she's homeless. Anyway, she said she aged out of the foster care system and is waiting on proper paperwork, leading her to live in a tent in downtown San Diego for the past 2 weeks. She said, I'm depressed as hell, like every day. There are days you don't want to wake up. Please do not wake up tomorrow, I tell myself. And so that sounds like someone, I mean, just like to just name one, that sounds like someone who would really benefit by a new law saying they're illegal. Like them being there is illegal. That should help, right? That should help her. The ordinance prohibits tent encampments in all public spaces. Oh, so you can be there. You just can't have a tent over your head. In all public spaces throughout the city if shelter beds are available. I'll get to that in a moment. It also bans tent encampments at all times in certain sensitive areas. Oh, God. Orwell would just be, he'd give you a French kiss for how beautiful that language is. Orwell would have loved it. Sensitive areas. San Diego, let me show you on the doll which sensitive areas you touched me on. So the sensitive areas that they're talking about are parks, canyons, near schools, transit stations, and near homeless shelters, regardless of shelter capacity. So then a city council member, and I can't tell whether they're opposed it or for it, says, quote, that means encampments are prohibited on all public property citywide at all times, regardless of shelter availability. Okay. So basically, by adding this sensitive area thing, they can then use that to mean just about anywhere, right? Because when it says near schools, well, how close do you have to a school do you have to be? Well, and furthermore, if it's like public spaces, parks, canyons, etc., near schools, that pretty much ropes off everything. Because near schools, okay, well, let's say a mile from each school. Well, are there any miles in San Diego that don't have a school within a mile? Oh, no, there's really nothing that doesn't have a school of some sort. You know, elementary, middle, high, technical, high school for the mentally challenged, the high school for these people or that people, a school, a daycare, a preschool. Like, you add all those up, pretty much everywhere has those nearby. So it's a way to make it all illegal while acting like you're not making it illegal. They don't want to put the language in that says, hey, you can't live in a tent anywhere in San Diego. So they add all this sensitive areas bullshit. Because, you know, transit stations really are sensitive, especially when they're not even repairing them. So they're old and decrepit and the fucking walls have open sores that are dripping somehow. How does a subway wall have an open wound? That defies biology, but they do in New York City. They have open wounds. They have and the Band-Aids have all come up. The city tried to put some like bandages, some gauze over the open wounds, and it all just oozes off. I don't know what's going on in the subway in New York City, but anyway. So to go back to the idea of, okay, well, it's only if there's not shelter capacity, if the shelters are full, which they said regardless of shelter capacity. So really, it's not true. Anyway, but let's say it didn't have that part. It's only saying, well, only if the shelters aren't full. Here's the thing about homeless shelters. One, many homeless people say, they fucking suck. They suck on many levels. The fact that you can't have your things with you, the fact that because you're laying on top of people and you got a cot and there's everybody walking around at all hours, people you don't know. And I know this is shocking, but when people are desperate, they do desperate things. So lots of times your shit gets stolen in shelters. So it's like, do I want to go into a place, I'm having a rough time. All I have in my name is, a couple pieces of jewelry and a couple of books that mean a lot to me and a letter from my, deceased mother that I keep in one of the books. That's it. And you go in one of these places and people are wandering around at all hours taking stuff. And because people are desperate and they do desperate things. So it's like, yeah, come on in. You'll just lose whatever tiny number of valuables you have. A lot of them have other problems, such as, the showers aren't working or you have to shower with 12 other people and whatever it is that people are not really comfortable with. Some people have kids. There are homeless people with kids. I know, shocking, right? What kind of fucking nation would let people be homeless with children? Oh, just ours, just the United States, just the number one killing machine on the planet, which is the story I just covered. But, so it's like, if you have a kid, do you really feel comfortable with your kid around all these people you don't know? It's like all of these things seem like completely normal preferences and desires if this were you or me. Like, I'm speaking to those of you who do have homes right now. Some of you very well might be watching this without homes. I've had people who are houseless who watch sometimes on their, some of them have phones or whatever, and they're able to catch an episode, and they say, unfortunately, I'm homeless right now. So it's not crazy that to think that a certain number of you are homeless right now. But anyway, for those of you who are housed, are all these preferences that I just listed, are they not things you would want? Like if someone just told you, hey, you have to go stay in this building, and there's just people wandering around at all hours, and you might lose your stuff, and you have to shower with all these other people, and the stall doors, there's no doors on the stalls, so you have to shit in front of others. It's just like a group shit you get to have and sing songs while you do it. Like all of these things, would you go, oh yeah, sounds great, okay, cool, yeah, no, you'd probably have a preference against a lot of those things. And yet we act like that doesn't matter because these people are unhoused. It's like, oh yeah, you don't want to shit in front of 12 other people? Well, you don't get to make a decision. You don't get to have a preference like that. You're unhoused. You are meaningless. You don't get to have preferences about the shelter you stay in. No. You get to go to the one place we're offering, whether your shit gets taken or not. There's other problems. There's people who, some of these are co-ed. Some of them are I know the term co-ed is so ridiculous, whatever, multi-gender, unisex, which is another crazy term, whatever the new term is for. And for some people, that's very troublesome. They are victims and they don't want to.
Police will start enforcing the city's unsafe camping.
They don't want to be a part of that. So there's that kind of thing that goes on as well. So many issues with. Now, for those who I'm not saying don't have shelters. We should have shelters. For those who shelters work, absolutely go there. But for those who they don't work or they don't want to be there, it shouldn't be like you're in a tent. Well, fucking illegal criminal. You have a tent, you criminal. God. Just some people are saying they have audio trouble. Is the audio back for those who if you can comment whether the audio is back or not. So, I mean, obviously I don't want to just sit here talking to myself because that's what I do the other 23 hours of the day. So, but anyway, I think you get the point about the shelters. But so we have 16, 17 million empty houses in the United States because people buy several houses now when they're rich. That's their form of investment. That's one of their many investments. Just buy several houses and just sit on them. There's also many people who are foreclosed and kicked out of their houses, and then the bank just holds on to them, and they're like, well, maybe we'll be able to be able to sell them for a lot more later. So we'll just hold on to them for a while. So you have empty houses for that reason. But millions of empty houses. But we can't give those to anybody who needs them. No, can't do that. We also have millions of empty office spaces that just sit there. Giant buildings, massive buildings sitting there without being used. You can't have human beings in there that need human beings need space. Oh yeah, they do. They desperately need space, just a building that they could be in. Oh, they do. Because that's interesting because I have an empty building. Oh, you do. Can they stay there? Oh, no, absolutely not. We need it to sit empty and just be. It's just be in this. It just sits. We just need it to be empty. Are you planning on using it for like? Are you getting ready to turn it into an active office? No. We're not doing that at all. It's not a good market for it. We're trying to make money off of renting it out and stuff. And yeah, so no. There's no plans to have anyone in it anytime soon. So could these people who need a house? No, absolutely not. They should just live in a tent or something. It's illegal. It's illegal for them to live in a tent. Just insanity. This is insane on so many levels. And of course, I know, sorry to sound like a broken record here, but if you're wondering why there are millions of empty houses and living spaces, and yet still homeless people in one of the richest countries, if not the richest country in the world. If you're wondering why that is, I don't know. I don't know why it is. Why did that happen? Capitalism. 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 Sorry, just couldn't contain that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. It seems like there's something wrong with divvying out these spaces to the peoples who need the space. Capitalism. I don't know. I don't know why we can't just. It's like, oh, you need spaces, we have spaces. You need shelter, we have shelter. If we just find a way to link up those two, but I don't know why capitalism, why it's not happening. Don't know. Don't know. Maybe people smarter than me have to figure it out. That's what I don't know. I don't know.